Today I wanted to pull back the curtain a bit on what the road looked like to achieving both quests. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that think there was an enormous amount of time and effort put in, and I shut off the rest of the world in order to just drive on iRacing. Um, but I do have a full-time job, have a couple of kids, active family life, etc. Um, and so what this is on Garage 61 is a graph of all of my hours on track per month from the very start of the quest when I officially started for myself on 1st of July 2023 through to the completion at the end of July this year. There was a couple of months in early 2024 where I got up to 37 hours a month. There's one January at the start of this year around 31, and January 2024 at 30. But the majority of the time we're looking at an average across those 3 years and 1 month. We're looking at an average of 20 hours per month. That's the equivalent of one round of golf per week, including travel to and from the course. So it's not an onerous amount of time I put in. Most of this is actually health related because my health isn't the best. I can't sit in the rig for long periods. I can't drive for long periods. So the amount of time I have to practice and or race is reasonably limited on a daily and therefore weekly and monthly basis. So I normally have to pick if I'm going to practice or race. And there was a lot of races done on reasonably minimal amount of practice, and I just had to work out how to get better quicker with limited practice time. As you can see, that's just how it is. These are my numbers. You can look them up in Garage 61. Now what I'll do is I'll go through what it looked like season per season. I know it may well be boring to a good number of people, but I'm sure there's some fellow statistical nerds that will enjoy seeing the progress and process as we work through. So at this date here, at the very start of the quest, I had already won in 30 different cars and at 52 different tracks. When I completed the cars quest, I had to win in 86 more, so I'd won in 116 total. And with the track, when I won at Kentucky last week, that was my 143rd track, so I needed 91 extra. So, on to the records. So this is the very start of the quest. I started week 3 of season 3, 2023. First win on the quest was the limited late model at Lincoln Speedway. Followed up the following week, same car at Limaland, and the following week at Volusia. So the limited late model got me off to a good start. We ticked off Otegi, the Kia. Montreal in the IndyCar was an incredible race. I had a race-long battle, managed to time the pit stops better or have the in-lap, out-lap be better. Made up some ground and had an incredibly good dive into the second or third chicane, depending on how you view chicanes. Yeah, really, really happy with that win. Sorted out the LMP2 at COTA. At this stage, I was able to do a lot of 2-for-1s, so we got the Mustang done. I believe those were in the days where it was in PCC, and we got it done at Jerez. I think that might have been a solo field. This was ARCA. There was a 15th anniversary series for iRacing running at the time, and there was Rookie Legends for a week, I think, at different tracks. And one of the days, it was at Irwindale, and had an epic race with two other guys, and I just pipped a 7K guy at the line, and also used just the standard Rookie Legends series to get Concord and South Boston. Ticked off both GT1s at Donington, so we did a track and then just ticked off the second car, seeing as I'd already practiced. Just for Justin, I managed to tick off the Solstice in that 15th anniversary because that came back for a week of official racing. Got the GTP done at Phillip Island. That was when I was running a fair bit of Camel. I ran about half of that season. Formula V was at Okayama Short. We did the LMP3 at Willow Springs, so that ticked that off. The Ford GT2, that was a really silly race at Bathurst. I had about a 30-second lead, 2 laps to go, and crashed coming down the mountain. Had a badly damaged wheel and managed to limp around for a lap and a half and win by about 3 seconds. But counted as a win, so that was good. In Monza, PCC went there in the junior circuit at Monza, which is basically you get just past the finish of the grid and you turn right and then you go onto the back straight to the last corner. Very, very small track, but tick that off in the Clio. I just have no intention on running Monza at all, so the easiest way to get that done. The Kia at Aragon, the Kia at Alton Park, and a TCR at Fuji. On the Kia at Red Bull as well. So the Kia and the Clio definitely been my friends at a lot of road tracks, just because front-wheel drive is my best option on road. Anyway, that was the first season, which was a shortened one of 8 to 9 weeks. We managed to tick off 13 cars and 20 tracks. On to 2023, season 4. So this was my most productive of all the seasons, getting 28 cars and 14 tracks done. Heavy focus on road, particularly sports car. So this is before the license transitioned from, this was just road at this stage. I had split them up myself into open wheel / prototype or GT cars. We made some progress on oval and just chipped away a little bit more, and we got into my now standard sort of format for how I look at a schedule. So we started off with the Formula Ford at Lebanon. Skip Barber, we went to Kota West Circuit in week 3. That was a tough one to learn. I'm okay in the Skip Barber, but it has because it's a slightly niche community, it has following whereby the guys who run it regularly are very, very fast. I had to catch the right field there. This was the season that Lebanon came to us, so I managed to tick it off in week 13 of its build, and thankfully I ticked off the Porsche on the very first day that Lebanon was available, because I cannot drive Porsches to save myself. So that was fantastic getting to do that there before everyone learned the track. And later in the season, the GT3s went to Lebanon, where I ticked off the Porsche, McLaren, Lamborghini, and I think that might have been it. I think at that stage the Ferrari had their own series, possibly. No, maybe I did that at Lebanon as well. But I did do the BMW at Le Mans in IMSA Fixed. The Audi, that was a hectic race at Jerez, where I was not the fastest car, where I qualified third or fourth and had to drive through the field, and there was some issues with some GTPs doing GTP stuff. It was good fun ticking off the GTEs. Did a couple at Barcelona, and where else did we do them? And I did the Ford at the combined Nordschleife track, and the Ferrari and BMW at Barcelona. Also managed to tick off one of my nemesis, the supercar at Laguna Seca. These are the Gen 2 supercars. I suppose the real secret to the success in this season was getting Stock Car Brazil to go official twice in the week it was at Laguna Seca, so I managed to get those done. And by pure luck, the Mission R went official one time at Road America, and I was managed to just be available at the right time, right place. Week 5, the 87s went to Willow Springs, and I just think the cars drive great there. And I used that week to tick off all four 87 cars. Not very lucky to do a 2-in-1 with the late model, and this is the old one? No, this is the new late model. Anyway, I had that and at Martinsville and managed to get a 6-car field where everyone behaved themselves and managed to tick off both of them. So after that, I don't think I've done another race at Martinsville. I love the track, but I just don't like how anyone races there. Another massive win for the Quests was the Lotus 49 at the Milwaukee Mile. That was week 6. That was a K5 organised official. Very, very strong field. Got lucky. It's on Nick Nebon's channel. Managed to hold on for the win because that car is impossible, but combination of ticking off a difficult oval with a very, very difficult car was just fantastic. We ticked off the midget at Lincoln Speedway in week 13. In week 13, for some reason, the midgets only have 4 cars per race. And we got one of those. One of the drivers did not enter. One of them was slow, and I had a wheel-to-wheel battle with the other guy for 30 laps. 358, we finally ticked off at Lernerville. I'm surprised it took that long to get Lernerville because it's one of my favourite tracks. We did the Dirt Legend car at Eldora and the limited late model at Weed Sport. That was a real burglar effort where I was running second all race and a lap car took out the leader coming off of turn 4 on the last lap. I've had that happen to me in reverse, so got very lucky, but you win some, you lose some. This was a hectic season in terms of just trying to get through as many different categories as possible, and ticking off some very difficult stuff, not from a skill level, but just from an organizational point of view, such as the Mission R, the Stock Car Brazil, Lotus 49, which for my time zone is impossible. A very, very productive effort. On to the start of 2018. 2024. This is where things started to slow down a bit, and I started to realize I'm not Superman and to try and focus a little bit more on specific targets. So the schedule I had planned, as you can see, was a lot less, a lot less cluttered. Red over here or white over here means I did not run that combo. Blue means I ran it and was unsuccessful, and as a line through it, it was successful. So first week, I managed to tick off 2 more very, very difficult cars for myself. Lotus 79 at Nordschleife. So that's about the only time I would get a race in my time zone. Very close race, managed to just sneak the win. In the same week, I managed to get a win in the IR01 at Spa. That week, the pits was the one after La Source, but you needed to do a pit stop in those races at the time, and I entered through the normal pits, which nearly cost me the win, as I had to crawl through that and then into the actual pits. So I lost probably 20 seconds, and I think I ended up winning by 2 or 3 seconds or something. So, yeah, a little bit lucky, but managed to get it done. Sandown at that stage was hardly ever on a schedule. A spec racer went there and managed to tick it off. PCC went to Mugello, which must have been a new track for that season. And we managed to get Zolder done, which was one of the harder ones to find on a schedule, but the Kia went there, and so there we go. New Hampshire, and one of my tricks to the oval section was waiting for road versions or rovals of these tracks. So the spec racer went there. I managed to get that done. I think from memory, Justin might have been in my race in that one. The super late model was at Stafford, and I managed to tick them both off in one race. Arca at Nashville Fairgrounds. Limited late model at both Lucas Oil and Williams Grove. Williams Grove is a track I really, really struggle with, but managed to get the right field at the right time. Yes, this season the trucks went to Willow Springs, and following on from the 87, I used Willow Springs to tick off all of the trucks as well. Did so I did the next gen one at Chicago Street. I don't think this was it. The one at Kota. Oh, there it is. Long Beach. That was the third one. So the next gen was by far the most difficult. The fields are just so strong when it's at a road course, and I'm no chance on an oval in that car. So it took me all week to get one win at Long Beach, then took me all week to get one win at Kota, and then all week to get 1 week at Chicago Street. So still no luck with the supercar and just a couple of cars there. So getting down to lower numbers on the car. We managed to tick off 14 cars and 8 tracks this season. Solid effort. Still a huge amount on the tracks, and particularly with that many ovals. I knew I needed to get my oval level up a lot more, but I was pretty happy with the progress at this point. We're on to 2024 Season 2. There's some new cars. Well, there's new cars added every season, but we had the Super Formula Light, which I ticked off in week 3 at Okayama. SRX, which I managed to get done in week 1 at Stafford. And the Micro Sprint appeared. which I managed to sort out at Limaland in week 3. It was always nice when they were able to get the new additional content done early in the season, because I could spend more time just working through the stuff that I really struggled on. This was a time in iRacing where there was a series that I can't remember what it was called, something like the Weekly Challenge, that just had random car and track combos, a different one every week. And so that's how the Super Formula Light was at Okayama in that series. People didn't look at that series as much as they did the normal series for those cars. And that's how I managed to get the second supercar done, because that series went to Winton in week 9. And I managed to get the right sort of field of people who were running that series regularly and got that ticked off. The Silver Crown was a big one. I had looked previously and seen that once a year it went to Watkins Glen, so I put all my eggs in that basket. I did some good amount of practice for it. At the strength of field race, managed to put it on pole and go flag to flag and get the win. Yeah, I would have really struggled to get that done on the oval side. What else did we have? Well, we managed to get another Roval done. And the Kia went to the Homestead Road. SRX at 5 flags. And another wee trick there, I used the 305 sprint car to tick off Bristol on dirt. The Dirt Legend at Chili Bowl. I think we used the Micro to get Millbridge done. Great track, Millbridge, but I don't think I've been back there in official, but it is really fun track to rip laps at. Limited late model at Knoxville, 305 at Port Royal. Ticked off Snetterton just for Justin in the PCC series. Mazzano, I think, was new that season, and we did that in the F4 race. And this was the week of COTA where I did all the Xfinities and one of the next-gen cars. We were down to the Merc F1, which never goes official, sprint car, which goes official a few times a week but is incredibly difficult to drive. Next gen, just waiting for a road course. The non-wing, which I didn't think I'd ever win in, and the UMP mod, which I also didn't like driving. So yeah, that season, 10 cars, 14 tracks. Small good progress. We were up to 95 total cars and 108 total tracks at this point. This is where you start to see the difficulties with the quests. Just as you think you're coming towards the end, iRacing add more content in, which you then need to learn how to drive, work out where you're going to find a win at, to keep progressing to the next step. This season they added in 2 GT3 cars, and I cannot drive GT3 to save myself. And the new street stocks came out. So I got somewhat fortunate that IMSA went to Most Sport, which is always a lower population week. I managed to tick both off in the fixed series. I wasn't sure if this was going to count or not. There was a BMW series that ran all the different BMWs, and they pulled the Z4 out of retirement. So I thought, just to be safe, I would attempt one of the Z4 races and managed to get that done at Okayama. Where did I get the street stock? Oh yes, it went to Winton in week 5, and that was a great combo. The only time I'll speak positively about Winton. That was a lot of fun. Managed to get that last next gen done at Chicago Street. Saxon Ring and Navarra were added. Managed to tick off I-55 in the 358. As you can see, a lot less action going on here. Partly we would have gone on holiday somewhere in here, there. But also just it's a case of using the bits of time I had to try and get up to skill in some of these cars, but also just try and do some miles at some of these tracks and work out how a win might happen at some of these places, or in some of these cars. So we managed to, the only oval this season was North Wilkesboro, the ARCA. Did attempt Pocono and Dover and Texas and Las Vegas, with limited success. So this should have been the conclusion of the car quest. But we failed. So new GT4, ticked it off at Indy Road in week 1. The McLaren GT3 we managed to get sorted at Interlagos. IMSA fixed. The sprint car I put an enormous amount of effort into. Week 10 was at the Bullring. I did 700 laps practice, spent a lot of time building a set, managed to get it to work, and got it done. That was in about a 3700 strength field, the best oval race, strongest oval race I've ever won. Mini stock at Langley in week 2, that was when that was new to the service. Funnily enough, the same day that I ticked that off, a 360 non-wing race happened to just go official at Cedar Lake, and somehow I managed to get the win. So at that stage I thought, well, this is just inevitable now. So I did a UMP mod race at Eldora. Got a few friends in there to make it official. There were a few extra people in there as well. I led for 29.5 out of 30 laps, and I got passed into turn 3 on the last lap. So after that, I could not bring myself to look at the UMP for the next few weeks. I was pretty shattered with that. So I finished this season on 107 cars, and to show you how much new content got added, when I finally finished it 2 seasons later, I actually finished with 116 cars needed to win the quest. Managed to get Darlington done in the ARCA car, that was a lot of fun. Cadwell Park in the Legends Road Series, and Cedar Lake. Oh yeah, that was a 2-for-1, the 360 non-wing at Cedar Lake. So yeah, and managed to get the dirt mini stock, which counted as an extra car. So yeah, overall a very, very good season, even though it was only 7 cars and 3 tracks. Thought I had it, but just missed it by half a lap. So that's when you just have to carry on, get it done. So this season we had the 2 Gen 3 supercars added. Ferrari GTP, Acura GT3, the new BMW M2. So a lot to keep me busy over there. The supercars were very popular that season, and generally had someone in fields that was far, far too good for me. I did keep an eye on some races, but I was just not competent in them, so I couldn't compete in those fields. Managed to sneak through in this one in the prototype challenge at Algarve. Where did we get this one done? Oh, IMSA at Long Beach, that's right. I did a no fuel special. And the M2 at Oschersleben. That was the old, more gruntier M2. Oswego. That's right, we did it in the 305 sprint car on dirt. Oswego is a very, very difficult oval track, but on dirt, I think it's a great track and races really well. So, fun. Thruxton, ECC went there, so ticked off a new track and made nearly no progress. Had a few down to attempt. I tried 87s at Las Vegas, ARCA at Chicagoland, but overall, whenever I was keeping an eye on what to run or what fields were like and what my skill level was like, I just wasn't in the ballpark to have a good run at any of those tracks. So a quiet season on this front, but because of how difficult this was all getting, this is when I started focusing on winning in series as well. So you'll see some of that making up some of those races, the odd race just for fun, but mostly trying to do one of the various quests. "2025 Season 2. We finally got there on the cars front. So, ARCA, they gave us 3 cars and you had to win in each of them. Thankfully, week 3 it went to USA and I was able to crank out all 3 in that week. Great combo, some great races that week. I was able to sneak in. I was moving house this week, weekend of, and I think it might have been just after setting up the rig in the new house. I was able to get one done at Winton. The UMP, I managed to finally get it done week 9 at Lanier. And then week 11, VIR, another free track where I know I'm going to get more chance to get one done. By this stage, I was recording videos, so that one is on my channel, the race where I finally got it done. Wasn't without drama. I think I had a wee spin in the race, but managed to do what I needed and got the win, so wouldn't be happier. Ticked off Portland in the M-Power series for BMW M2. Beach, was that that was the junior open wheel. We managed to get an oval done. Still huge work required there. I tried ARCA at Dover again. I tried Las Vegas again. I tried Huset's and the UMP again. So, yeah, just unsuccessful on a number of efforts there. The main thing was we got the cars done. By this stage, we had won in 116 cars in order to complete it. So just because I completed the cars quest doesn't mean finished. I still purchase the content. I still carry on. 296, very cool car. Can't recall where I got that done. I think it might have been Hungaroring. I don't know what happened over here. I think this might have been a preliminary schedule, but then it doesn't have any of my details in terms of what I did or how I did it. No, that was the Clio at the Bend in PCC. Auto Club was PCC week 10. Rockingham was in the ARCA car, and Hickory was a late season SRX race, like maybe somewhere between week 10 and 12. Yeah, good track, Hickory. I quite enjoy it. Doesn't produce the greatest racing in terms of the behaviour of people there, but very good track. So a quiet season for me, but I think a lot of it was just spent thinking about what the hell I'm going to do over here and how I'm going to make that happen and what I need to upskill at. There's some more additions. The Indy Next car I sorted out in the first week at Laguna Seca. Aston Martin GT3 went to Oran Park in week 7. That done. These things weren't as important, so it was more if it was there, sure, I'd have a go. If it wasn't, I was more intent on trying to work this stuff out. And as you can see, this was the season I won the SRX championship, so I put most of my effort into that actually. But managed to get Huset's done in the SRX. week 2, and also got the Coliseum done week 6. Took the Clio to Kansas on the road course to get that done there. You can see I had a list of where I thought I might be able to sneak wins potentially, but I just did not have skill level to attempt any of those. I was keeping an eye on fields, etc., and pace and what I need to do, but sometimes you just don't have what it takes. First season of 2026. This was quite a crucial one for me in terms of starting to get some belief that I might know a little bit more about oval than what I thought. So big one for me was Arca at Gateway. I did the strength of field race that week and finished second, and managed to tick the track off later that same evening. That gave me a huge confidence boost that maybe I can go a little better than I thought I could. And I put a lot of work into the 87s at Chicagoland and had to race a mid 3K level guy who was pretty good and had a pretty good week there and was getting a few wins. I managed to beat him, so that said that, hey, you can actually run on these bigger ovals. You can run against decent people on oval. The Gen 4 went to Daytona Road, and that was a great combo. Managed to tick both of them off that week. Used the GT4 Mustang to tick off Miami, and we did Adelaide in the 296. That was a really hectic race. And the cross car came out that season, so I did some track guides for it and won a race in the first week at Winton, and that's the only official race I've done in the car. A lot of fun, that car. Very, very twitchy though. But yeah, that was a big confidence building season. I started to actually understand what oval was about and how to run with decent guys on different sort of tracks. So this was a massive season for me. Everything was falling into place. We started off week 1 managing to tick off Las Vegas, the Legends car, big battle with Jacob Collins there. And the very next week I managed to get Draft Master Gen 4 win at Talladega. Just one race is all it took there. I'd done plenty there in other cars previous to that, but that was immensely rewarding. Winning a 87s race at Michigan, was so pleased with that. I lined up for my one SRX race of the season, managed to tick off New Smyrna. A lot of work into Texas and got there in the Xfinity car. Got a Gen 4 Dover. We got the SLM at Phoenix in week 12, and we won at Pocono in the ARCA that same week. Week 13 of the previous season, we won at St. Petersburg, or to start this season, I suppose. We won at St. Petersburg in the Audi, and we also took the Ram for a spin at COTA during the season. The Porsche Cup, I'm just not interested in. That's still sitting there, my current list of things to do. The racing in that series doesn't interest me. But yeah, of these 9 tracks that I won at, 8 different cars were used. I really started to get a handle on how to drive oval. Been my stumbling block for a long time, but it finally started to click, and I just did what it took. Kentucky wasn't on. Well, it was on an Indy Oval schedule, but after doing a few laps there, I just thought there's no way I'm joining a Indy Oval field, Kentucky. That was a recipe for disaster, so it's not racing that I'm interested in. So that was that, and by this stage I was up to 125 cars and 140 tracks. With a live look at the current situation, We completed the tracks. We got Laguna Seca and San Diego done in the first 2 weeks of the season. The Ferrari 296 there, Renault Clio there. And then week 7, took the truck to Kentucky and got her done. That was track number 143 total. And despite the disconnect issue at Gateway, I did go back a second time and get the win in the BMW. I ticked that one off for car number 126. I do have the Euro NASCAR and the Formula V on my list of things to do later in the season. Who goes there? We're doing a race at Radical this week. And then some series that I haven't won in dirt. Looking to have a bit of a crack. And then a few oval races which may interest me that I might have a crack at. So, yeah. So that's a very, very long and in-depth look at the road to the quest and what happened along the way. I wish I'd started recording some of those races earlier, particularly when I was really getting through the cars and tracks. Would have been good to look back on, but at least I managed to put a reasonable number of the cars and tracks on there, which is good. So, yeah, if you have any questions about it, let me know. Like I say, only 20 hours per month, less than an hour a day. A little bit more time in terms of admin and study in terms of when to race what series and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, if you have any questions on it, by all means, let me know in the comments down below. If you're still watching, thank you very much. Can't believe it. Yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.